Goodness and wisdom to all. Greetings, friends, at the Summary Club. Today we will talk about the best thoughts of mankind concerning the search for happiness, the truth of life, success in it, and consider quotes of great people who express such thoughts. It is with the help of quotes from famous philosophers and scientists that we can learn the recipe for human happiness and understand what the true price of time is. What were mankind's best thoughts on success? The ancient Oriental philosopher Confucius said, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Today you can often find so-called dreamers who only make plans but do nothing with it, or on the contrary, having built a plan of action, see what a long way lies ahead and openly pass over in the face of difficulties. In order to finish something, you have to at least start. Activity is the only way to knowledge, said Bernard Shaw. Thus, in order to succeed, you have to do something. Because knowledge becomes true only if it is tested in practice, otherwise it becomes dogma. As the legendary Sufi poet Jalaluddin Rumi wrote, to repeat someone else's words is not to understand their meaning. This is the problem with many people today. By repeating after great men, we simply reproduce verbal formulas, but we do not bring this wisdom into our lives. It is the same as buying an axe, putting it up in your house, and saying to all the guests, "Look, what a beautiful axe, you can use it to build a good house." And saying that to everyone to continue living in a dilapidated barn. Dogmas are what limit us. For philosophy not to become dogmatic, one must have a lively mind that is capable of analysis. Only fools and dead men never change their opinions. Another quote by the great poet James Lowell that helps one succeed. Reading intelligent books and not reflecting on what you read is the same as consuming food and not digesting it. You can write a lot of information to a computer hard drive or any other medium, but this does not make the drive or flash drive any smarter, it remains just a repository of information. Likewise, people who have read a lot but understood nothing remain just information keepers. As the philosopher Aeschylus said, "Wise is not he who knows much, but he who understands what he needs." More information about how to achieve the goals and achieve success you can read on our official website. Fate is not an accident, but a matter of choice, argued American politician William Bryan. Everything in our world is subject to the law of cause and effect. It is foolish to expect wheat to grow in a field where the wind has scattered weed seeds. And this is quite obvious to everyone. But for some reason it is different in life. Without sowing a good seed, people expect something worthwhile to come up. Just like that. For some unknown reason or no reason at all. Or simply because you have to be lucky. Luck is a fairy tale for lazy people. Nothing happens without a reason and nothing happens without consequences. Even to win the lottery you have to at least buy a lottery ticket. This is why humanity's best thoughts are based on the fact that it takes effort to succeed. We laugh at that popular joke where a man asks God to help him win $1 million without even buying a lottery ticket, but in life most of us do exactly the same thing. We are more comfortable believing in fairy tales about a good God who, at our request, must grow wheat in a field where we have not worked a single day. Thomas Fuller said, "He who leaves everything to chance turns his life into a lottery." And Plato wrote, "Men tend to blame their misfortunes on fate, the gods, anyone but themselves." Note that this was written hundreds of years ago, but it seems as if it were written this morning. Most people do they throw trash in the street, but for some reason they blame the janitors, who are not too quick to clean it up. And that's why many people's thinking is based on a simple principle: it's up to someone else to change the world around them. There are many quotations of great men about time. Time is priceless. Gone seconds are gone forever. To achieve happiness, you have to make an effort every day. A day is a little life, said Maxim Gorky. And if every day a person makes a maximum effort to achieve happiness, this will be the reason for its achievement. That's what Horace said, "Keep in mind that any day can be your last." It is also about the fact that there is only the present moment, and in that present moment one must make the most of what is possible to achieve one's goal. The writer Abul Faraj put it this way, "Amazingly, a man is saddened when he loses his wealth, but indifferent to the fact that his days are irrevocably gone." Idle time is one of the major obstacles to happiness. Samuel Richardson said, "Time is the fabric of life." The great spiritual teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha, left many quotations that have been preserved in history as the wise thoughts of mankind. He preached that desires and attachments are the cause of suffering. In fact, imagine a young child who longs for a toy of some kind. Suppose he never got the toy, grew up, and safely forgot about it. But it is worth noting that he never got the toy. So what was the cause of his suffering? The lack of a toy, or his desire to get it? Most likely, a couple of months later the child will safely forget about his desire to get the cherished toy, and when he grows up, he will remember this fact with laughter and indulgence. A moment's pleasure is often the cause of long suffering, said the German poet Christoph Wieland. If you analyze it, it's true sometimes, in the pursuit of minute pleasures, people make big mistakes, for which they pay for years. It is easier to suppress the first urge than to quench all that follows it. Benjamin Franklin. Every addiction begins with the first urge. Alcoholism begins with the first drink. Tobacco addiction begins with the first puff. And, most likely, more than one smoker who seeks to quit this detrimental occupation has regretted that very first puff. It is not common in modern society to struggle with one's desires. On the contrary, the entire current system of values propagates that we should satisfy them as much as possible. As Leo Tolstoy wrote, there are people who take pride in the power of their desires, not in the power over desires. The understanding of freedom is very skewed these days. The Bible says very well, freedom from sin, not freedom to sin. And as the Apostle Paul very accurately pointed out, all things are lawful for me, but not all things are profitable. He who is free is not the one who allows himself whatever he wants, but the one who has found power over his desires. What is the essence of humanity's best thoughts on suffering? Being content with what we have is one of the most important skills. It is not a question of not striving for perfection. It is a question of learning to appreciate what is. As Vissarion Belinsky wrote, people usually do not so much enjoy what they have as they grieve for what they do not have. And this is, unfortunately, the mode in which most people live their lives today. And on our Learning and Self-Development portal you can read in detail about what suffering is and how to stop suffering. Nil verum est licet omnia is a well-known Latin aphorism that means, nothing is true and everything is permitted. We are not talking about an extreme form of nihilism and permissiveness. As Albert Einstein said, everything is relative. And in the case of the concepts of good and evil, as well as right and wrong, this statement is also relevant. One and the same deed under different circumstances can be both a deed and a crime. Therefore, the concept of truth, as well as good and bad, is very conditional. And any truth offered by anyone is only a version. When Shakyamuni Buddha left this world and gave many teachings, he said, "Do not accept my teachings simply out of faith or out of respect for me. Just as a merchant in a bazaar tests gold by heating it, melting it, and cutting it to see if it is authentic, do the same with my teachings, and only when you are sure of their truth do you accept them." Therefore, what interesting and useful statements, and from whomsoever you have heard, all the same only knowledge, confirmed at his personal experience and practice in his real life become truly useful. And all that is read in books and accepted blindly on faith is rather a break on the path of self-development. But still, we wish that these quotes of great people will help you to succeed in life. Therefore, as a channel of learning and self-development, of course, we advise you, as always, check everything you hear or read in practice, depart from the usual patterns, and of course develop further and further, going to this here as consciously as possible, which we wish you, and even strongly recommend. This will be the end of our theme. We are sure that the best thoughts of mankind will always help you in solving problems because they are time-tested and prove their truth. And friend, don't forget to subscribe to the Summary Club for becoming more successful, educated, kinder and wiser every day. Save hundreds of hours and dollars spending on boring regular education. Feel free to write your opinions and questions about each video. We read all the comments. In addition, go to our official website where you can find reading materials or watch other videos on channel and links in the description. All the best.